An 18-year-old, Stephen, lived with his family in America, in the state of California. When Stephen was 10 years old, his father had passed away due to an illness. Since then, Stephen's mother had, by herself, taken care of him and his younger brother, Stanley. Stephen understood the financial condition of his family and soon took active interest in academics, become the topper of his school. He got admitted to a very big and prestigious college as well. Everyone in the family was very happy due to Stephen's admission in such a prestigious institution, and Stephen himself was very glad too. One day, he was searching for a book in the college library. His friend Natty was also with him. Natty was there in the library and started reading a book, while Stephen was looking for the book. As Stephen was trying to find the book, he reached the first floor of the library. While searching for the book amidst the big shelves, he discovered a big, red-colored door in the corner of the library. Seeing this, he was confused as to why such a door exists in a library. As he was suspiciously moving towards the door, he felt as if someone from the other side of the door was calling out his name. Stephen opened the red door with curiosity and walked right into it. On opening the door, he discovered a long corridor. All around it was just darkness. From the darkness, he could hear a voice which was calling out his name. Stephen started following the voice, and soon he reached his college library. But the library looked different. It was dark all around, and there was a dangerous smoke filled in the entire room. The students sitting in the library looked very weak and scary. All their faces looked white, as if someone had sucked their life right out of them. As Stephen was seeing all this, he heard someone call out his name. When he looked in front, a woman was standing in front of him, facing the window. She was scratching the window with her nails and calling out Stephen's name. The moment Stephen went towards her, she turned to face him and started smiling at him in a very creepy manner. Suddenly, her face began to change and turn red. Her body turned black, and it seemed as if she was some kind of a devil. Seeing Stephen, the devil screamed loudly and tried to get hold of Stephen. Stephen was very scared and hurriedly tried to reach the red door, but now the red door was no longer there. Stephen was stuck in a different world which was filled with these dangerous creatures. On the other hand, in the real world, Stephen was sitting on the ground floor of the library with Natty. His eyes were closed and he was shaking badly. Natty threw some water over his face and called out his name. Only then did he regain his consciousness. Natty informed him that a few moments ago he had fallen asleep in the library while reading. Then he started shaking. So according to Natty's story, Stephen never went to the first floor of the library. In fact, the first floor of the library was closed for years. After hearing all this, Stephen did not say anything and simply went back home. In the evening, Stephen did not talk to anyone and went straight to his room to sleep. While dreaming, Stephen was back again in the world behind the red door. He was trapped in a big room, and all around him it was dark, and then he suddenly felt that someone was standing behind him. When he turned back, he was surprised to see that the same devil was standing there and smiling at him. The devil kept his hand on Stephen, and he started screaming loudly with pain. Stephen's eyes turned red. In the real world, Stephen was shaking again. He was also screaming very loudly out of fear. At that point, Stanley rushed into the room and woke Stephen up from his dream. Stephen did regain consciousness this time too, but it seemed as if the person inside Stephen's body wasn't him, but someone else. After that night, Stephen stopped going to college. He would lock himself up in his room throughout the day. He would neither talk to anyone nor eat anything. During the nighttime, he would just roam around his house like a ghost and would often visit Stanley's room, staring at him like a mad person. One night, Stanley woke up from his sleep hearing some noise. When he looked around, he found his brother Stephen scratching the walls of his room. He called out Stephen's name multiple times, but Stephen did not give any answer. When Stanley went towards Stephen, he became very scared. Stephen was sitting in a corner, eating small ants and insects. His eyes had gone white, and and he was writing an evil mantra with his nails on the wall. Suddenly, Stephen stopped and looked at Stanley, and then held him by his throat. Stanley started calling out his mother loudly. Hearing all of this noise, their mother came into the room, and upon entering, she saw that Stanley was coughing while holding onto his throat, and Stephen was lying conscious beside him. After all these incidents, Stephen's mother realized that he is possessed by an evil spirit, so she went to her friend, Elise. Elise was a demonologist and paranormal expert. She came to Stephen's house and started checking him. Elise soon realized what was happening to Stephen. She told Stanley and his mother that Stephen was capable of doing astral projections, which means after he goes to sleep, his soul would leave this world and travel to another world. But this time, Stephen's soul had gone quite far into the land of evil spirits, which is known as the Further. Elise informed them that in the Further, a whole lot of evil spirits were trapped, and hence they are suffering in pain there. And now all those spirits are trying to use Stephen's body and trying to enter back into the human world through him. Hence all these paranormal incidents were happening. To talk to Stephen's soul stuck in the Further, Elise started a ritual. Elise, Stanley, and their mom held each other's hands and started the ritual. Elise then started talking to Stephen's soul stuck in the Further. Stephen could actually listen to Elise's voice when she started communicating with him. She informed him that he should follow her voice, which will take him to the Red Door and come back to this world. Stephen started following Elise's voice and moving forward. All around him he could see only darkness, and in that darkness, several dangerous spirits were moving around. Then all of a sudden, amidst the souls, he found the devil seated in front of him. He was looking at him with a lot of anger and contempt. Seeing this, Stephen got really scared and started following Elise's voice frantically. The devil, after spotting Stephen, started growling and running after him madly. The devil held on to Stephen's leg, and soon all those dangerous spirits surrounded Stephen. In the real world, all the lights in Stephen's house started flickering, and Stephen was screaming in pain, lying on the bed. All the items in his room were falling down and flying by themselves. Seeing all this, Stephen's mother got very scared and started calling him out loudly. In the Further, when Stephen heard his mother's voice, he somehow released himself from the devil and quickly crossed the Red Door, and he was back in his own body. In the real world, Stephen woke up from his sleep suddenly. He hugged his mother and started crying. Everything had become normal. Elise, later on, using hypnosis, made Stephen forget his power and ability to do astral projection. Since that day, Stephen again started leading a normal life. If you like this story, then please subscribe to our channel Bloody Monday and keep watching more horror stories on our channel.